Welcome back. Well, the House returns to Washington next week with just about 2 weeks of legislative days left before the August recess, which is a month-long recess. Republicans in the House discussing a third reconciliation bill, but the Senate seemingly in no hurry to pass any additional policy package. Joining me now is Pennsylvania Senator Dave McCormick. He serves on the Senate Banking Committee. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
I want to get your take on what could get done before the August recess and really what can get done before the midterms. It feels like, you know, there's a holdup in the Senate regarding passing the president's agenda. Why?
Well, first of all, I had a call last night with 50 or 60 county commissioners and state legislators. Two topics were most of the conversation. The first was the cost of housing. And, you know, we have housing that went up by about 11% in Pennsylvania over the last year. The average age of home ownership is 40. It used to be about 29 when I was coming out of the Army. And so we've got legislation coming on housing. I think there's a real chance we'll get that on the president's desk in the next couple of weeks, bipartisan and a big issue in dealing with affordability and the American dream for most Americans. Second topic was the Save America Act. And this is a source of such frustration for me, for many others. I mean, you're looking at a guy that lost his first election by 900 votes and won his second one by 15,000 out of 7 million. And people just recognize the common sense of you need to be proof of American citizenship to register to vote. And you need to have voter ID to actually vote. This is an 80-20 issue, and the people of Pennsylvania are very focused on this. I'm focused on this. We had a guy named Mahadi Sacco who got arrested in March in Pennsylvania, who had been in the country for 20 years, had voted in 6 elections, registered Democrat, and was an illegal immigrant. And I heard Ro Khanna on your show the other day, and he was saying, you know, this is a small number of people. It doesn't have to be many people. As I said, a guy who won his last election by just a sliver to change the course of history. So that's the second topic on people's minds. There's a possibility of including that in some sort of reconciliation, and I'm supportive of any reconciliation we can get done. The Democrats have shown they'll obstruct the president's agenda in any way possible. We had to use it to get ICE and the Border Patrol funded, and I'd be very supportive of using it again to fund our defense, the supplemental, as well as any aspect of the Save America Act that we could get into it.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for that analysis of everything in front of you. I mean, the housing bill is real important, and I'm glad that you feel confident that you could get that across the finish line. I asked Tim Scott about it just the other day here on this program. Here's what he said. Watch. A word on housing, because President Trump is urging the Senate to put the Senate housing bill on the floor. It was amended by the House. It got 396 votes, yes, and then he would sign it into law. Do you know the plan for that housing bill?
You know, I met yesterday, 2 days ago, with the leaders in the House of Representatives. I think we have a workable opportunity to move housing to the president's desk in the next week or so. All we need is for us to say yes. We're saying yes on our side. They can say yes on their side. The president can sign the final product, and the American people, who today, average age of a first-time home buyer, a little over 40 years old, we can see that drop precipitously. What will it take? Republicans, Democrats, House and Senate working together on the compromise that's on the table. It maintains all of the House product and most of ours. The president will be able to sign that. We need to get that job done. I'm excited about that and very optimistic that we can get it done.
So, Senator, you seem so confident and wide open that you can actually see a path toward the Save America Act to move forward. Do you think there's resistance from some of your colleagues in the Senate? Because it feels like the Save America Act and even the Clarity Act are 2 examples of the Trump agenda getting held up in the Senate. And the president apparently is frustrated with leadership there, urging Majority Leader John Thune to nuke the filibuster. He posted on Truth Social last night saying this: Senate Majority Leader John Thune and the Republican Senate must not let this carnage happen. They will go down on the wrong side of history, as will all Republicans who just stood by and watched. The Republican Party is not at stake. Our country is. Terminate the filibuster and immediately approve the Save America Act. Now, I know, Senator, that John Thune joined me the other day, and he said many times he just doesn't have the votes. What do you think? Should the leader move to remove the filibuster?
Well, first of all, with regard to the Save America Act, I think we have to stay on offense all the time and force the Democrats to defend a position that's clearly indefensible. This is an 80-20 issue. Democrats and Republicans alike. It's basic common sense. And so the obstruction on this is coming from the Democratic Party, and it's an indefensible position. And the reason they're defending their obstruction is because they're advantaged by the fact that our voting laws are far too liberal. So that's the starting point. In terms of being able to get this passed in the Senate, my view is that we should use every opportunity, every legislative mechanism possible to force them to stand up and defend their position, which is indefensible to the American people. In terms of the number of votes, I think we have probably we could get a majority on the Save America Act, but it's the 60-vote threshold, as you said. And I don't think we're going to have the votes to overturn the filibuster. As someone who I campaigned against overturning the filibuster because the idea of Puerto Rico and Washington becoming states, four senators there stacking the Supreme Court, which is what the Democrats promised to do, was unacceptable. But I understand the frustration. I mean, when you see how slow things go and the obstruction, so it's tempting. We don't have the votes to do that, but we don't need those votes to force the Democrats on the floor over and over again to defend the indefensible. And that's what I think we should be doing at every turn.
Senator, what do you want to say about the status of the Iran deal? I mean, you are one of the few U.S. sitting senators with serious combat service experience. Thank you so much for your service to this great nation. You are a West Point graduate. You completed airborne and Ranger training. You was the honor graduate of Ranger School. You served as an Army officer in the 82nd Airborne Division, deployed to Iraq during the 1991 Gulf War, and, of course, earned the Bronze Star and left active duty as a captain. Congratulations to you, and thank you. Where do you stand on this deal with Iran? Do you believe the skeptics who say Iran is getting off easy here, even though I know we obliterated them?
Yeah. Well, I want to start with what you just said. So 5 presidents, 47 years of terror on the region, a path to a nuclear weapon. The president stood up courageously, took this on to ensure that we protect America from the possibility of a nuclear Iran. So great courage. The military has performed masterfully and greatly eroded the capability of the Iranian forces. So that's the starting point. We wouldn't be at the negotiating table without that leadership from the president. In terms of the MOU, listen, I've read it a number of times. I have some questions about it, particularly paragraphs 10 and 11, and I just keep coming back to the 2 things the president said. And I agree with these 2 things, and the MOU implementation and negotiation has to include these 2 things, in my opinion. Number 1, there can be no path to Iran with a nuclear weapon. And so the negotiations ultimately have to result in them giving up their enriched uranium and any path to a nuclear weapon. The second thing is it needs to be paid for performance. In other words, they cannot get sanctions relief and that money back that's been withheld without taking tangible steps to eliminating their nuclear weapon. I support the idea of lifting the blockade in return for opening up the strait. Pennsylvanians appreciate that. Price of gas is down to about $4. It was up to as high as $4.80. So we're making progress. This next 60 days is really critical, and I do think we're in the driver's seat because of the actions taken so far. But in the end, we have to have an agreement that accomplishes the 2 things the president said.
Yeah, that's right. All right, real quick on the Clarity Act. That's also held up in the Senate. The chairman of the House Agriculture Committee Digital Assets Subcommittee said that the House would act swiftly on the Clarity Act if the Senate takes it up before the August recess. But, Senator, you're on Senate banking, and you know what Jamie Dimon said and what the banks are saying. They don't want to agree to this Clarity Act. It passed out of committee, but they say it's not fair when you look at what the crypto companies will be able to do versus the banks. Why do you think it has not been brought to the floor yet?
Well, it's a complicated topic. We need, stepping back, we need to have a framework. We need to have rules of the road that give consumer protection, make sure this industry stays onshore, not offshore, and ensures that all the actors, the banks, as well as the crypto-related companies, can have the benefit of this incredible innovation. So that's our goal. I think we're going to get there on the Clarity Act. There's been a lot of progress on finding language and a negotiation that essentially protects deposits and allows for activity-based rewards. I've been with a number of bankers lately. I think they're increasingly comfortable with that language, although there's still some that they're opposed. There's no doubt about that. But we need to land this plane, and I think we'll land this in the coming months, but it's going to take some additional back and forth. I'd say it's next up in the queue following the road to housing bill we talked about.
Okay, I like it. Senator, good to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Senator Dave McCormick this morning. We'll be right back. Stay with us.